got to be 3,500 right-wing conservatives like me among them. It's just a question of recruiting them. So what have I been doing? I've been going to where they gather on the internet and here at meetings like this to try to recruit you people to become precinct committeemen. Look, when I was a kid in grade school, I remember it, and I remember in junior high when I had my civics class, we were told by the teacher, you have a civic effing duty to do this. Your country is in crisis. Look, if you don't do this, you may lose. Let's put it this way. I can't guarantee you that if you do this, if you get off your ass and do this, I can't guarantee you you're going to save your country, but I'll guarantee you this. If you don't do it, you will. So, the big question. Are you going to get out of the bleachers, or are you going to be in the real ball game of politics? I need 3,500 conservative patriots in Maricopa County to join me inside the Republican Party to change it from a half-strength, ideologically split party, it's less than half-strength, into a solidly conservative, full-strength political juggernaut. Now. Okay, I've already gone through that, about how few have shown up. This is how the election went in 2008. Rob Haney almost lost. He won in a crushing landslide this time because we had about 1,000 more precinct committeemen. So, what will you do? Okay, answer this truthfully, silently to yourself, these questions. Ever been to a GOP committee meeting? Do you know the name and number of your precinct? Do you know the geographic boundaries of your political neighborhood, I call it, your precinct? Do you know any other conservatives in your precinct? Do you even know one Republican precinct committeeman in your precinct? Your precinct may not even have any precinct committeemen. Over a third of the precincts have no precinct committeemen right now, even though there are slots. Do you know the number of your legislative district? Do you know when and where your legislative district GOP committee meets? Do you know the names of your 2 representatives? Have you ever even heard the term precinct committeeman before this? Have you ever visited www.azgop.org? That's the Arizona Republican Party website. There's good information on it. The MaricopaGOP.org website. Ever called your state representative? Ever called your state senator? Ever been to a city council meeting? Ever been to a school board meeting? Folks, if you haven't been doing that kind of stuff, you better start doing it or you're going to lose your country. So what are you doing to make sure constitutional conservatives win the Republican primary elections? Are you just going to run around with a sign, or are you going to get involved in politics? The best way to make sure these constitutional conservatives win is to become a Republican precinct committeeman. The time for protests has passed. Now we have to get busy organizing politically. Amy Kramer said it on the Glenn Beck program, calling in from Alaska, while Jenny Beth Martin was there talking about all that she was doing. And here's Amy Kramer up in Alaska with Tea Party Express getting out the vote in the primary for Joe Miller, calling in and basically saying this: the time for protest signs is over with. You have to put down your protest sign and pick up a campaign sign for somebody and go out and campaign. Look. Let's see, where'd my clipboard go? Oh, here it is. David Fitzgerald from LD6. New chairman. He ran for the legislature, didn't make it. I met him on January 8th, the day of the Maricopa County elections meeting. He said to me something that I thought was really profound. He said, all these people run around and say they're political activists. Okay, if you haven't had a clipboard in your hand with a piece of paper like this, getting a signature for something that'll go on the ballot, like your name, because your name goes on the ballot for precinct committeemen, or for some other candidate, or for a referendum, or for initiative. If you haven't gathered a signature in the last year or two for something that's going on the ballot, then you are not a political activist. We have got to get organized. There's lots of good referendums you can get involved with too. So, what do you have to do to become a precinct committeeman? I pretty much showed you already. You got to get no more than 10 signatures. Some only require 3, some precincts, because they have so few Republicans in them. And then you got to get that notarized affidavit, or signed by 2 people. You don't even have a notary do it. Any qualified voter Any voter, any registered Republican can do this. And the party will teach you all of this. You go to your monthly meetings, they'll teach you all of this stuff. And then once you're an elected PC, oh, and if you miss the deadline, guess what? If you miss the deadline, this deadline, for these 2 pieces of paper, there's one more deadline. Oh, I missed the deadline. Oh, what do? Well, if there are fewer candidates than there are slots, you fill out one piece of paper, that affidavit, get that notarized and put it in, and you're golden. So, there's an escape clause even. But you should get your 10 signatures. Okay. And then once you're elected PC, the chairman of the party can't tell you to do anything. Your legislative district committee chairman can't tell you to do anything. You're supposed to elect a precinct captain. They can't tell you to do anything. You're the top dog. You do what you want. And Arizona's got the best system of any state. So there's no cavalry, people. Nobody's going to save you. Nobody's going to save you from Obama and the Marxists that he hangs with. Nobody's going to do it. You have to do it. We have to unite and kick out all those who won't abide by our Constitution. And how do we do that? We take over the Republican Party. It's a tool. Look, I'm an American first, I'm a conservative second, and I'm a Republican by necessity. I could care less about the Republican Party. It's a tool. It's a political tool. It's there for the taking. It's a pure numbers game. We have the numbers. And again, why won't they tell you this? Why won't the Republican Party leaders tell you this? Why won't I'll tell you, even David Schweikert doesn't want to talk about this. Because if we fill up all the slots with conservatives, and he doesn't do a good job in his 2 years and comes back to stand re-election in a primary, and some new guy, like maybe me, comes along, not that I'm going to run because I'm not, but let's say that I decided to challenge David, and I've filled up all the empty slots with conservatives, and I say, David, you didn't do a good enough job. I've never been there. I'm not beholden to anybody. I've never held elective office before. I'll go there and kick some ass and take names. You didn't do it. He'll get thrown out on his rear. That's what we've got to get to, folks. And don't get me wrong, David's a great guy, but I'm watching it. So we have the numbers. 2 million conservatives were in D.C. on September 11, 2009. There were 3 Republicans on that stage. Tom Price, Mike Pence, and Jim DeMint. Not one of them said a word about this. They've all written books. Not one of them ever say anything about this. I call it the conservative grievance industry. This is the way the books go. Did you know that the Democrats are really bad? Did you know that? They're really bad. And then they list out all the bad stuff. And then they say, the Republican Party's better. Did you know that? And then they say some stuff about the Republicans. And then they say, here's what you got to do now. Write letters to the editor. Write to your congressman. Start a blog. There's too many blogs. All this stuff that doesn't make a bit of difference in the world. They'll never tell you about this because they're afraid, because they're incumbents, that you'll do it and you'll toss them out too, because none of them are pristine. Okay, we've got the numbers. Gun Owners of America has 300,000 members. NRAs, 4 million members, 2 million are registered to vote, 50%, only 1 million actually vote. Evangelical Christians, you can, through the voter rolls and databases, you can nail this down. It's exactly the same. 50% of evangelical Christians aren't registered to vote. And the 50% that are, only 50% of them vote. We the people get the government that we deserve. So, where do we have to unite? Again, we have to unite inside a place where we can affect the outcome of the elections, and that is inside a political party. Don't disband the Tea Party. I'm not saying that. Keep the Tea Parties, because things are going to get worse in this country.